This really is a beautiful sounding speaker. The Wharfedale EVO 4.3. Yeah, that was my first impression. That was my lasting impression of this speaker. It's just, well, I was going to say unassuming. It doesn't scream at you hi-fi or resolution or detail. It's not that kind of speaker, but it's a very easy to listen to speaker. It's not that it's lacking in resolution. I don't want to give you that impression, but it's just laid back in its resolution. Let's put it that way. Now, when you look at it, it looks pretty ordinary for a 21st century speaker. Slim, curved-sided, floor-standing speaker. Really nice walnut finish on this. Whether it's real or vinyl, I couldn't yet determine. If it's vinyl, it's really, really good. But the things that make this speaker special might not immediately jump off the screen when you're looking at it there, but let's take a closer look at what makes this speaker stand out from the competition. First of all, it uses an air motion transformer, a larger than average one. I think it's 30 by 60 millimeters. And directly below that is a 2-inch silk dome mid-range driver. Now, dome mid-ranges are pretty rare, right? It's been a while, or maybe forever, since I've last reviewed a speaker with a 2-inch dome mid-range. I know that I think ATC uses them in some of their pro monitors, but in consumer speakers, dome mid-ranges are not the most popular type. But when you listen to this one, you might start to wonder why, because I think what that dome does, it lends this speaker, or it gives the speaker, a very open sound, a very unboxy sound. And sometimes as I was sitting here listening to the 4.3, I was thinking, this is kind of like listening to a panel speaker. It's strange. It's very open, very spacious, nice sense of depth. Yeah, I'm thinking, why is that? Damned if I know. But I would say, well, maybe one of the things that makes it stand out compared to other box speakers is that 2-inch dome. Now, below the dome, you will see two, not one, but two 5-inch woven Kevlar woofers. In the specs, you might notice that it's listed as a bass reflex speaker. I noticed that, but I couldn't find a port. So I'm looking around, and I was like, I'm not really sure where the port or the reflex part of this speaker is. So rather than waste a lot of time trying to figure it out, I just got in touch with the distributor at MoFi, and they responded and said, yeah, it's loaded through that slot between the bottom of the cabinet and the, I guess, plinth base. So it's basically slot loaded through the entire bottom of the speaker. Nice. So it's a hidden port, which may allay some of your fears about wall placement or getting it too close to a wall, blah, 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 blah. And as I always point out, few speakers sound good jammed up against the wall, whether their ports are in the front or the rear, as in this one in the bottom. So, but anyway, it's an interesting way of handling the port issue. And there was certainly no chuffing noises or no noises at all coming from that slot-loaded bass reflex design. So while I was down there on my hands and knees trying to find the bass port, I noticed the cone feet. They're really nice, really, really nicely done. They are adjustable, though at first I didn't see how, but they are through the top. Unlike typical spiked feet that you screw in and mess around with a wrench to try to level them out. Now this one is way more elegant than that. You do the adjusting from the top. They're very solid feeling. They're not a skinny little spike. There's that big chunky cone. Just very classy, very well thought out, and a nice way of handling the continuing question of what to do about the feet or the spikes or something. Now, if you have bare wood floors, they don't supply, or I didn't notice that they did, any protection for your floor, but you could put something underneath there, like a penny or something, which I've done in the past. But of course, if you're using it on a carpet, then you're good to go. Well, there's one thing I should throw into the mix right here is, though its impedance is rated at 8 ohms, it drops down to 4.4 ohms. So it's probably a good idea to use it with a receiver or integrated amplifier or power amplifier that can handle 4 ohm loads with grace. Oh, at this point, I will mention that the speaker is designed and engineered, I'm not sure how they differ, in the UK, but it is made in China. I know you're talking to your screen now. Steve, what is the price already? Tell us the price. Okay, take it easy. The price is $1,598 a pair. They come in black oak, light oak, and walnut. My samples here are walnut, and they were really stunning. Over the course of this review, I used a few different amplifiers, starting with the First Watt J2, the Schiit Agir, the Riga IO, which is an integrated amplifier, and I'll have a review of that coming up shortly. I have to say, of all the amps I just mentioned, and they all sounded very different through this speaker, it does show off those differences very well, that the Schiit Agir, which is a $799 20 watt per channel amplifier, I thought was that made the most sense of a match in terms of the price of the amplifier and the price of the speaker. It was really good. Now, of course, some people are using the Schiit is a mono amplifier, so you need to buy two, and then they're twice as powerful, then it's 40 watts. But I just used the stereo version, and I was very, very pleased with that matchup. I think that matchup was right on the money. And I did try one high-powered amplifier, the Mytek Brooklyn amp, which is a 250 watt per channel stereo amplifier, and I used that to play music as loud as I could tolerate. And I will say, because I'm not into playing music super loud, that, you know, this speaker doesn't do loud or big dynamics particularly well. It's not that it's really wanting, but it wouldn't be my first choice. If you're looking for a clip equivalent, like a horn speaker, wham bam kind of sound, the 4.3 is not going to get you there. So hold your horses on that one. But in terms of just listenability, it was great. It was great on all of the amps, actually. I used Neil Young's Red Rocks Live. It's a DVD, but I'm sure there are Blu-ray versions and online versions of it. It's a live concert. Yeah, I forget when it was from, but I will link to that below. But Neil is in rare form. It's a great mix of his acoustic music and his electric music, and some of the tunes really churn. They just, you know, that Neil Young thing, and he's like jumping around on stage. He's so into it. When he's into it, he is so into it. And it was just fun watching him jump around. And that band and the backup singers, everything was just making me smile. And that's kind of what this is all about, really. It's a really good sounding video for the electric and the acoustic, but the acoustic numbers just had that sweetness, that roundness, that sense of, you know, what real acoustic instruments sound like, which is kind of rare when you think about it, especially in a concert setting. So anyway, I was very, very happy with the way the 4.3s were laying those tunes down. It wasn't that long ago I did the Wharfedale Linton Heritage. That speaker is more of a classic British three-way large bookshelf speaker. Bookshelf in parentheses, because I don't think there's too many bookshelves that you would put that speaker on. But that speaker, which is slightly less expensive than this one, has a softer, more traditional British sound. It's fuller sounding. Now, I didn't have it here to compare. I'm doing this by memory. But that speaker made a really strong impression on me because it was just so classic in its sound. I just really, really, really loved it. It's a three-way, it's big, it's broad-shouldered, and it just has this meat to the sound, you know. It's very satisfying speaker. So this speaker, the 4.3, is much more modern sounding, more open sounding, transparent? Yeah, probably more transparent, but just a more contemporary sounding speaker. I think they're both good speakers, really good speakers, but different. So next up, I turn to Don Byron's Bug Music CD. It's a big band, well, let's call it a medium-sized jazz group. A lot of horns, a lot of swing, a great electric guitar, on one of the tunes, and it just rolls along. It's one of those kinds of records, and the 4.3s, just, I wasn't thinking about them. That was the good part of that. I just was disarmed by this music, and the 4.3s just let it through. It let the music just pass through the speakers as if they weren't even there. That's really high praise. So I don't know if I've mentioned the band The Replacements in any of these videos. I think I have, but what an amazing band that's been so overlooked, criminally, you could say, criminally overlooked, that they're just so good, of their time, the 1980s, just joyous rock and roll with a real edge to it. It's not soft in any way. It's just fun, just guys, basically just a garage band that just has great tunes. And on this record, Pleased to Meet Me, the tune Alex Chilton is just, it does that thing. It's so much fun, and it is basically hard rock. But in terms of an all-rounder that does jazz, classical, rock, some home theater stuff, yeah, I think the 4.3 is a very serious speaker, and as I said, beautiful. And its real charm to me is that open quality. I'm presuming from that 2-inch Silk Dome mid-range. I think that's its secret, or not so secret, sauce. So let's do the wrap-up, shall we? My name is Steve Guttenberg. This continues to be the Audiophiliac Daily Show, and today it has been all about the Wharfedale EVO 4.3 three-way floor-standing speaker. A beauty it is. If you like speaker reviews, I've got more, lots more on the playlist. I have playlists for speaker reviews and headphone reviews and amplifier reviews and music reviews, incredibly enough. But I don't want to neglect pointing out that subscribing to this YouTube channel, and now we're at 138,000 subscribers out there, but there's still room. There's still room for you. I'm going to squeeze you in. I'm going to talk to the people, and I'm going to get you in. All you have to do is click on that button right down there, and I'm going to make sure that you get in before we close off the subscriber. We're going to hit a number, and I'm going to say no more. But for now, there's still room for you. And there's still room for you at the Patreon, which can be found at patreon.com/audiophiliac. And now I can say my work here is, incredibly enough, and at last, complete. So thank you, as always, for watching, and I really do hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Bye-bye.